Do you know what the most dangerous prison in the world is? It's not a cell with locked doors. It's not surrounded by guards. It's not hidden in some remote island. The most dangerous prison is the one inside your own mind. Name is overthinking. You see, overthinking looks harmless from the outside. It looks like planning. It looks like being careful. But in reality, it is a thief. It steals your peace, your courage, your opportunities. How many of you have lost sleep replaying a conversation? How many of you hesitated on a decision until the moment passed? How many times have you been more exhausted by your thoughts than by your actual life? You've ever felt trapped in that endless loop of what ifs? You are not alone. But here's the truth: if you don't stop overthinking, it will quietly destroy you, not in one big moment, but slowly every single day. So today, let's dive deep. Let's uncover the dark side of overthinking, and more importantly, how you can break free from it. Overthinking is the illusion of control. Imagine this: you're sitting at your desk late at night. The room is quiet, but your mind is loud. You're going over the same decision for the 10th time. Should I do it or should I wait? Should I say yes or should I say no? You think, if I just analyze it one more time, maybe I'll finally feel certain. But certainty never comes. Instead, hours pass, your chest feels heavy, your stomach knots. And in that moment, you convince yourself you're being responsible. You tell yourself, I'm just making sure I don't make a mistake. That's the trap. That's the prison. Overthinking feels like control. In reality, it's the exact opposite. Real control is not about predicting every outcome. It's about trusting yourself to handle whatever outcome comes. Think about it. Have you ever stood at the edge of a swimming pool? You're ready to jump, but your mind starts racing. What if the water is too cold? What if it's deeper than I think? What if I look stupid when I jump? So you stand there, waiting, analyzing, planning, and before you know it, 10 minutes have gone by while everyone else is already swimming, already laughing, already enjoying. That's overthinking. It disguises itself as preparation, but it robs you of experience. It tricks you into believing, if I just think more, I'll feel safe. But safety doesn't come from thinking. It comes from trusting. Control isn't sitting on the sidelines, calculating every possibility. Control is saying, I may not know everything, but I will take the step anyway. Because the truth is, you'll never think yourself into certainty. Certainty comes after you act, not before. So here's the wake-up call: stop mistaking overthinking for control. You don't need to figure out every what if before you move forward. You need courage, not perfect answers. The world doesn't reward the person who thought about jumping. It rewards the person who jumped. Overthinking creates problems that don't exist. Picture this: you're waiting for a text reply. Minutes pass, then an hour. And suddenly, your brain starts writing a story. Maybe they're upset with me. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe they don't care about me anymore. Your chest tightens. You replay the last conversation in your head. Did I say too much? Did I say too little? And before you know it, you've created an entire drama without a single piece of evidence. Has this ever happened to you? One small uncertainty, and your mind spins it into a nightmare. You're no longer living reality. You're living in a movie directed by your own fears. That's the dark side of overthinking. It makes you suffer over things that don't even exist. The mind is powerful. It's like a projector. Whatever picture you play inside, it starts to feel real, even if it's not. And overthinking feeds this projector with the worst case scenarios. Think about how many times you've worried about something, and when the actual moment came, it wasn't nearly as bad as you imagined. Maybe the presentation went fine. Maybe the conversation was easy. Maybe the rejection you feared never even happened. But here's the cost: by the time you discovered it wasn't that bad, you had already suffered in advance. You lived through fear twice, once in your imagination, once in reality. Overthinking doesn't prepare you for problems. It manufactures them. It paints monsters on the wall, then convinces you they're real. The real question you should be asking yourself is, How much of my stress is real, and how much of it is just a story I've created in my head? So here's the truth. Most of the pain you carry isn't from reality, it's from imagination. Stop rehearsing disasters that will never happen. Stop bleeding on wounds that don't exist. The mind can either be a battlefield or a garden. Choose wisely what you plant there. Overthinking destroys confidence. Imagine this moment you're given an opportunity. Maybe it's a job interview, maybe it's a chance to speak in front of people, maybe it's simply asking someone for help. At first, you feel a spark of excitement. I can do this. But then the voices in your head begin. What if I say the wrong thing? What if I look foolish? What if I'm not good enough? Suddenly, that spark starts to dim. You replay the possible mistakes, you zoom in on your weaknesses, you imagine failure before you even try. And what happens? You back away, you delay, you let the moment pass. Here's the tragedy: you didn't fail because you weren't capable. You failed because overthinking convinced you that you were not. Confidence is not built by knowing every answer in advance. Confidence is built by stepping into the unknown, by proving to yourself, through action, that you are capable of handling it. Think about a child learning to ride a bicycle. The child doesn't sit on the sidewalk calculating balance angles or analyzing every possible way they could fall. They just get on, wobble, fall, get up and try again. And with each attempt, they build confidence. But when we grow older, we forget this. We start believing we need to think our way into confidence. We think if I just prepare enough in my head, I'll feel ready. But the opposite happens. The longer you think, the more reasons you find to doubt yourself. Overthinking is like quicksand for your confidence. The more you struggle inside it, the deeper you sink. So here's the truth: confidence does not come before action. Confidence comes because of action. Stop waiting until you feel ready. Stop letting overthinking poison your belief in yourself. Take the step, even if your hands are shaking. Because the world doesn't remember those who sat in silence doubting. It remembers those who showed up, trembling, imperfect, unstoppable. Overthinking steals time you'll never get back. Think about this for a moment. How many hours of your life have you spent replaying the past or worrying about the future? Hours that could have been laughter with your family. Hours that could have been progress on your dream. That could have been peace, sleep, or joy. But instead, those hours were swallowed up by overthinking. Say you had a decision to make: a new job offer, a business idea, a relationship choice. Days pass, maybe weeks. You analyze every angle, you write pros and cons, you call 5 different people for advice. But by the time you decide, the opportunity is gone. Not because you weren't capable, but because you were too late. That's the cruel thing about time: it doesn't wait. While you're stuck in your head, the world keeps moving. Opportunities don't stand still, they pass by. And the worst part, once that time is gone, it never comes back. You can recover money, you can repair relationships, you can rebuild health, you can never recover wasted time. Overthinking tricks you into believing you're buying time to be safe. But in reality, you're selling your time, trading precious moments of life for imaginary security. Think about standing at a train station. A train arrives ready to take you to your next destination. But you stand on the platform thinking, what if it derails? What if the seat is uncomfortable? I chose the wrong train. So you wait, and while you're still deciding, the doors close. The train pulls away, and suddenly you're left behind staring at empty tracks. Life works the same way. Opportunities are trains, and overthinking is the reason so many people are left standing on the platform, watching their chance disappear into the distance. So here's the truth: time is the most valuable currency you have, and overthinking is the thief that steals it quietly. Don't waste another day replaying, doubting, and hesitating. The clock is ticking whether you move or not. Stop letting your minutes slip through the cracks of hesitation. Because one day you will look back, and the regret of lost time will hurt more than any failure ever could. Overthinking turns small problems into monsters. Have you ever had something tiny bother you? maybe a mistake at work, a short silence from a friend, or a small misunderstanding, and instead of letting it go, your mind grabbed it and wouldn't let go. At first, it's just a thought, but then you keep replaying it. Why did they say it like that? I do something wrong. What if this ruins everything? Hours pass, maybe even days, and suddenly something that started small now feels massive. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill. At the top, it's tiny, harmless, but the more it rolls, the bigger it gets, until it's unstoppable. That's what overthinking does. It magnifies small issues into monsters that scare you, even though they were never that big to begin with. And here's the sad truth. Most of the stress in our lives doesn't come from real disasters. It comes from little things we've blown out of proportion in our heads. Overthinking is like holding a magnifying glass over a scratch and convincing yourself it's a wound. The more you focus, the larger it seems. Take this example: a friend doesn't reply to your message for a few hours. Reality might be simple. They're busy, they're resting, or they didn't notice. But your mind doesn't like simple answers. It starts whispering, they must be upset with me. Maybe they don't care anymore. What if I lost them? Suddenly, you've built an entire story of rejection out of silence. But here's the lesson: problems don't grow because they're truly that big. They grow because your mind keeps feeding them energy, just like shadows in a dark room. When you're a child, no matter what, you look at the shadow on the wall and think there's a monster hiding. Your heart races, your body shakes. But the moment someone turns on the light, you realize it was just your imagination playing tricks. Overthinking creates shadows where there is no monster. So here's the truth: most of your problems are not as heavy as you feel. They are only as heavy as the weight you give them. Stop letting your thoughts turn ants into elephants. Stop creating storms out of raindrops. The next time your mind blows something out of proportion, take a breath and remind yourself, this is not a monster. It's just my mind making it bigger than it is. Because life becomes lighter the moment you stop feeding small problems with big thoughts. Overthinking paralyzes action. Have you ever stood at a crossroads in life? Two paths in front of you. Maybe a career choice, maybe a relationship decision, maybe starting that business you've been dreaming of. At first, you feel ready. You say to yourself, I'll just think it through, my options. But then the thoughts multiply. What if I choose the wrong one? What if I regret it later? What if I fail and people laugh? You tell yourself you'll decide tomorrow, but tomorrow comes and you're still thinking. Days pass, sometimes months, and then one day you realize the opportunity is gone. Not because you weren't capable, but because you were frozen in place. That's the silent tragedy of overthinking. Doesn't just make you late, it makes you motionless. And when you don't move, life moves on without you. Overthinking creates the illusion that you're being smart, but what it really does is glue your feet to the ground. You're standing there staring at both roads while others are already walking theirs. It's like standing on the edge of a cliff with a parachute on your back. You keep adjusting the straps, checking the wind, calculating the angle. But here's the thing: no amount of thinking will teach you how to fly. The parachute only works if you jump. Action is where clarity comes from. Movement is where momentum is born. You don't need the full map to start the journey. You just need to take the first step. The most successful people in history didn't know exactly what would happen when they began. They acted, they learned along the way, and that movement created opportunities that endless thinking never could. So here's the truth: hesitation kills more dreams than failure ever will. Stop standing at the crossroads, paralyzed by what ifs. You don't need to see the entire staircase. Just take the first step, because the door to your future doesn't open with thought, it opens with action. Overthinking disconnects you from the present. Have you ever been sitting with family or friends, but your mind wasn't really there? Maybe you were laughing on the outside, but inside you were stuck replaying something you said yesterday or worrying about something that might happen tomorrow. The food is in front of you, The conversation is happening, the moment is alive, but you're not living it. You're lost in your head. And later, when you look back, you realize you missed it. You were there physically, but not mentally. That's what overthinking does. It kidnaps your attention and drags it away from the only place life actually exists, the present moment. How many sunsets have gone unseen because your eyes were staring at the sky? Your mind was replaying old pain. How many opportunities slipped past because you were so focused on tomorrow's fears that you couldn't see today's gift? Overthinking doesn't just steal your peace, it steals your life while you're still alive. The present moment is the only reality you truly have. The past is gone. You can't touch it. Future hasn't arrived yet. You can't control it. The only place you can act, love, grow, and live is here and now. But overthinking is like wearing foggy glasses. You see shapes, but you miss the details. You exist. You don't experience. It's like holding a camera at a concert and recording the entire show, but never actually enjoying the music. You walk away with hours of footage, but no memory of the joy. Overthinking does the same thing with your life. It records everything in your mind, but it blocks you from feeling the beauty of the moment. The lesson is simple but powerful. Peace doesn't come when your problems disappear. It comes when you stop leaving the present to live inside fears that don't exist yet. So here's the truth: life is happening right now. And every second you waste in your head is a second you will never get back. Stop letting yesterday steal today. Stop letting tomorrow's fear rob you of today's joy. Your power, your peace, your freedom, they all live in the present. Step into it before overthinking takes it away. The antidote to overthinking is trust. Let's be honest, the root of overthinking is fear. Fear of making the wrong choice, fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of losing control. You tell yourself, if I just think about it enough, I'll find the perfect way. I'll guarantee success. I'll protect myself from pain. But here's the trap: no amount of thinking will ever erase uncertainty. No matter how much you analyze, life will always have variables you can't control. And the harder you try to control everything in your mind, the more powerless you feel in reality. It's exhausting, isn't it? Lying awake at night, running through every possible outcome, desperately searching for a guarantee, but finding none. That endless cycle leaves you tired, anxious, and paralyzed. The real antidote to overthinking is not more control, it's trust. Trust doesn't mean everything will be easy. It doesn't mean you'll never fall. It means you believe in your ability to get back up when you do. Think about every great leap in human history. The Wright brothers didn't know for sure their plane would fly. Edison didn't know for sure the light bulb would work after hundreds of failures. Every explorer, every inventor, every dreamer had to step into the unknown without guarantees. They didn't succeed because they overthought every possible scenario. They succeeded because they trusted. Trusted their vision. Trusted their effort. Trusted that even if they fell, the fall would teach them how to rise higher. And you know what? Trust doesn't just apply to history. It applies to your life right now. That business idea you're scared to start. Conversation you keep postponing. That decision you've been delaying. What's missing isn't more analysis, it's trust. Trust that even if it's messy, it's progress. Trust that even if it's hard, you'll grow stronger. Trust that life is not meant to be perfectly calculated. It's meant to be lived. So here's the truth: overthinking locks you in fear, but trust sets you free. You don't need to control every outcome. You just need to believe that whatever comes, you'll handle it. Stop waiting for guarantees. Start moving with trust. The moment you trade fear for faith, even faith in yourself, is the moment you escape the prison of overthinking. So remember, this overthinking will always whisper fears in your ear, but you are not your thoughts. You are stronger, braver, and far more capable than the doubts in your mind. Every time you feel trapped in endless what ifs, remind yourself, life is not meant to be lived in hesitation, but in motion. Trust the step you take. Even if you stumble, every step forward is still progress. And here's the hope I want to leave you with. Your best days are not behind you, they're ahead of you. The clarity you seek, the peace you crave, and the freedom you deserve, they're waiting, not in your thoughts, but in your action. So breathe, trust, and step forward, because the world is waiting for the version of you that chooses courage over fear.